Battle through the firmament. Great world. Chapter 428 appear. At the peak of Star Moon Island, dozens of days passed in the blink of an eye. The crowd was no longer as excited as before. All of them sat quietly on the hassock, waiting for the final result to be revealed. While everyone was silent, a whistling sound suddenly sounded out. Following that, a strong wind swept past, startling everyone. Someone is coming up. Everyone was stunned at first. Then, they immediately stood up and looked down curiously. There, a huge python swooped down, followed by a young man. It's a disciple of Star Sky. Some of the more experienced ones could clearly see Shang Hao's face in an instant. Immediately, they shouted in a deep voice. As soon as the words left their mouth, except for Xing Chanyu, who burst out laughing complacently, the expressions of the other three changed slightly. When Shang Hao appeared, it meant that one of the three academies would definitely be eliminated. However, they did not know which academy Shang Hao had defeated. Under everyone's gaze, Shang Hao leapt up and landed firmly on the mountaintop. Seeing so many experts on the mountaintop, Shang Hao was slightly startled. Turning his gaze, he saw Xing Chanyu striding over. "Ha ha, Shang Hao, well done. Say, you eliminated that academy's trash." He enthusiastically patted Shang Hao's shoulder. Xing Chanyu was all smiles. He glanced at where Su Jiang and the other two were and deliberately shouted out loud. Shang Hao smiled when he heard this. He bowed slightly to Tang Hong, who was far away, and said with slight regret, "Elder Tang, Liu Yanchao is indeed very strong. This young man spent a lot of effort to barely win." Tang Hong's expression became gloomy when Shang Hao looked at him. He involuntarily let out a cold laugh when he heard this. A helplessness surged within his heart. Forget it. Liu Yanchao's strength is lacking, and his skill is inferior to mine. Brother Xing, congratulations. Tang Hong's facial expression returned to normal. He waved his sleeve and spoke in a calm voice. Currently, there was still Zhou Buyi and Lei Yunting in the Southern Sky Academy. It was not like they did not have the ability to fight back. Ha ha ha, thank you very much. Xing Chanyu's brows knitted with joy. He cupped his fists at Tang Hong and looked at him proudly. Laughter echoed in everyone's ears. Elder Su, it seems like the first round of the arena is between Yunlo and Lu Li. Yi Xuan's beautiful eyes swept across Xing Chanyu and Shang Hao. Her red lips slightly parted, and her tone was filled with a bitter smile. Did you feel a lot more at ease? Seeing that Su Jiang did not speak, Yi Xuan's eyes moved like water ripples. She suddenly smiled and said, "A little." Su Jiang didn't try to hide anything from her. He gently nodded his head. The opponents in the first match weren't the Star Sky Academy or the Southern Sky Academy. It had indeed made him feel a little more relaxed. Although the strength of the Glaze Academy couldn't be underestimated, the pressure it gave him wasn't as pressing as the pressure of the Star Sky and Nantian. "You are really annoying." Yi Xuan's red lips slightly rose when she heard this. Her pretty face revealed a trace of a smile. However, since her opponent was the Yunlo Academy, the pressure in her heart seemed to have been reduced by a lot. At the center of the mountain peak, Old Man Chang and a few elders of Star Moon Town were sitting on a hassock. They looked at Shang Hao indifferently, but didn't say anything. Strange. Suddenly, Old Man Chang, who was in the middle, frowned slightly. As if he had sensed something, he whispered a few words to a burly old man beside him. The burly old man was the same old man who had seen through the three types of Star Moon Town's Shaoyan possessed in the Star Moon Town that day. After listening to Old Man Chang's words, the old man nodded his head with a solemn expression. He and a middle-aged man with slightly white hair stood up, taking advantage of the time when everyone's attention was focused on Shang Hao. He quietly left without alerting anyone. "Yuaner, follow me." In the distance, Zhu Mo, who had been observing the few old men, slightly raised his eyelids and whispered to Zhou Yuan, who was beside him. The movement technique of these two men was extremely strange. If he hadn't observed them carefully, he might have missed them. Zhou Yuan retracted his gaze from Shang Hao and looked at Zhu Mo curiously. As expected, those old men can't sit still anymore. There are so many people here, and no one will notice the disappearance of a few people. Are you interested in going to the Star Moon Island? Zhu Mo's face was expressionless as he spoke to Zhou Yuan in a soft voice. Zhou Yuan was visibly moved when he heard that. However, his mind was not like his age on the surface. Years of adventures had made him extremely cautious. He was very cautious when it came to this island that was full of danger. Furthermore, with the deaths of the purple-robed Marquis and the others, he actually hesitated for a moment. Don't worry, this is the 4 Academies competition. Some of the terrifying forbidden lands will be sealed off. This period of time might be the safest period of time in the entire Star Moon Island. Zhu Mo wasn't surprised to see Zhou Yuan hesitating. He said in a soft voice, "Students, listen to teacher's arrangements." Zhou Yuan was excited when he heard that. He said in a low voice. Zhu Mo gently nodded his head. He grabbed Zhou Yuan's hand and took advantage of the fact that no one had noticed him. The sound of the wind under his feet suddenly rose. In the next moment, he had already pulled Zhou Yuan and disappeared from where they stood. Zhu Mo was known as the Extreme Mysterious Speed, and his movement technique was ranked first in the Extreme Mysterious sect. Under the full power of his movement technique, no ordinary person would be able to detect him. Putong. At dawn, the sky was still slightly dark. Xiaoyan and the others had escaped from the pursuit of an Emperor cultivation level heavenly beast. After running for an unknown amount of time, Wu Shaoqi's legs went soft. She sat on the ground and gasped for breath. She could no longer walk. Ma Huyang waved his hand when he saw this. The few of them immediately rested on the spot. Xiaoyan wiped the sweat from his forehead and looked around with a complicated expression. If the 4 of them had joined forces with the Emperor cultivation level heavenly beast, however, they had just exchanged a few rounds. Countless spirit beasts and heavenly beasts had arrived. If they were surrounded, what awaited them would be another battle of life and death. Ma Huyang decisively gave the order. The 4 of them could only leave. The surrounding environment was extremely unfamiliar. Under the continuous pursuit of the heavenly beast, they had long deviated from their original position. If this continued, no one could guarantee who the opponent in the second ring was. This place is the 4 Academies competition. It's clearly a wilderness survival. Wu Shaoqi dragged her tired body and forced herself up from the ground. She muttered with dissatisfaction. These days, they had been running away in this mountain range in a sorry state many times and were almost surrounded by countless spirit beasts several times. Lin Dao leaned against a huge tree and exhaled. Even with his resilience, he still felt a trace of exhaustion. Xiaoyan looked at Wu Shaoqi's tired face and his heart suddenly moved. With a flip of his palm, a jade bottle appeared in his hand. The jade bottle was filled with the extreme will heavenly spring that he had obtained after defeating the blood flame scaled beast in the realm in Valley Trial. It was incomparably beneficial to recovering one's physical strength. What is this? Wu Shaoqi took the jade bottle from Xiaoyan and looked inside curiously. Wisps of moist vapor diffused out. When it came into contact with Wu Shaoqi's tender face, a trace of comfort instantly emerged from her face. The effect of the spring water that recovers physical strength is not bad. Xiaoyan smiled and took out 2 more bottles and handed them to Lin Dao and Ma Huyang. Before he went up the mountain, he had divided dozens of bottles of the extreme will heavenly spring. He had forgotten about it a few times because he was in a hurry. This time he remembered it because of Wu Shaoqi's reminder. Restore your strength. Ma Huyang took the bottles and looked at them. Wu Shaoqi had drunk a mouthful of the cold spring water. Suddenly, a relaxed feeling spread out from her limbs and bones. The tiredness in her body had disappeared. What a good thing. Why did you only take it out now? Wu Shaoqi looked at Xiaoyan happily and said with some dissatisfaction. Didn't you just remember? Xiaoyan smiled and drank a mouthful himself. The exhaustion in his body quickly disappeared and was replaced by vigorous energy. This thing is not bad. Ma Huyang and Lin Dao gently took a sip. They sensed that their physical strength had recovered. Joy appeared on both of their faces. This kind of thing was even more effective than some medicine pills. Xiaoyan smiled. Just as he was about to speak, his expression suddenly changed. His eyes narrowed sharply as he stared coldly into the dense forest ahead. A figure with flowing white hair slowly walked out, his eyes like a lone wolf fixed on them. Chapter end. Please guys like, comment, share, and subscribe.